Welcome, gang. In this video, we're going to talk about me using the Lumix LX100 as an everyday camera. This is a digital micro four thirds camera that zooms from 24 all the way up to 75 millimeters. I found the inspiration to use this camera as an everyday carry, where I took this camera with me to South Lake Tahoe on a vacation with my family and friends. Ended up falling in love with the shooting experience with this camera. So I decided to take it out with me every day for a week. It's the look of this camera, it's the feel of this camera in your hand, and it's also with this camera being dial driven. The best way I can describe the shooting experience is that this camera helps me capture the moment without getting lost in trying to capture the moment. I don't overthink my settings. I don't overthink what focal length I have. I don't need the shot to be perfect. I see the shot, I take the shot, and I continue on. Being dial driven versus menu driven, it allows me to use the aperture ring here to set the aperture, and obviously I can go manual if I trust myself to use the correct settings there to shoot. What I mean by dial driven versus menu driven is I can change all of these settings on the outside of the camera without having to access the menu. So I adjust the aperture and the shutter speed to my choosing, and I use the EVF and the screen primarily just to frame my shot, maybe zoom in and out, but not using the screen to check my settings and adjust my settings. I do it all quickly from the outside, and then I take the shot.
Let me see your flowers. Aw, they're so cute.
When I have a camera in hand, I already think in aperture or shutter priority. When scanning the scene after deciding what to shoot, I decide what f-stop I would like to be at, whether it be 2.8 or f4, or even if I want to get more, I use f8. I decide that, and then I end up taking the shot. Same thing happens when I'm shooting at night or shooting sports photography, is I adjust the shutter speed down to whatever shutter speed I would prefer to use in that moment, and then I capture the shot. And then if I would like to go back to auto, really quickly, I go right back to auto. Another really nice feature is that the EV compensation is on the outside, so you can quickly adjust this. I've only used that a handful of times, which was really nice to do it in those scenarios if I want. Coffee, leave it please. The power switch is really easy to access for me. You can do it one-handed if you want. You turn it like so, and then you can turn it off like so. And I have to guide it to close it.
It's just not on time, baby. Tell me where you been lately. I'll shut downtown down, baby. When we link up, go crazy. We go MIA, drinking IPA, we get hazy. Smoking weed, lazy. Fogging up the Mercedes. Just wanna be with my baby. Cause I'ma eat it like takeout after I take you out to a little reservation. I'ma take you to my bed, we can get a little wild, baby, no domestication. We fucking make love and all the above, no intoxication. Wanna see her again, yes or again, no I can't wait.
I was just reviewing the photos on this, and it just started raining. As you can see here, some raindrops. So I'm gonna call it. It keeps jamming when it's trying to close. Part of the reason why it was kind of cheap. I'm gonna have to turn it off and then help guide for it to close, because it won't close on its own, which is annoying, but still a great deal for this camera. I bought it for 80 bucks at a thrift store, and the solution is just to help guide it with your finger a little bit, which is not a bad compromise. Look at my dogs looking super cute. Of course, Kodak's gonna hide his face now. There you go. Look! Oh, you're such a beautiful puppies. And they're good girlies. But yeah, I started sprinkling a little bit, so I might just walk home so I don't ruin my camera. It's definitely not water resistant. Looked it up a couple times, so.
Other two outside dials around the lens are the image ratio. We have the 3:2 ratio, the 16:9, the 16:9 ratio, the 1:1 ratio, and the 4:3 ratio. I ended up leaving it at 3:2 ratio. It's just what ratio I prefer using. Contrary to what most people believe, when you're switching between those image ratios, it actually just uses different portions of the image sensor to create those, versus like other cameras, it will just crop the actual sensor to get those proportions. Something I just wanted to point out and show, something that a lot of reviews show about this camera.
The future is now, oh man, can't you see it? A world without Jesus, I know that man would never leave us. I know that we left him with drug and medicine, things that fill our lives with everything but him. You wonder why he died, those things we call sins. I knew I couldn't believe it, the words that I was just reading, it just makes too much sense. How could I never see it? I'm in the crib barely breathing, to be honest. I was shedding a tear that a man like him, whoever shall lend his ear, that a man like him is close but never here, no there. But he's with you when you care, while you driving your car, while you sitting at a bar, while you sleeping. He'll be with you there tomorrow, while you doing your thing, while you hitting at your bra. He just hang on my chain. All I did, I know he saw. He be there while you broke, and still be here there when you fall, when you down in the low, or when you walking standing tall. You got here for the show, but he love to see it all. Even though I'm not supposed to, he's nothing close to. He's coming up with a road too. Instead of him, I know he chose you. This is for you, Jesus. Yeah. The future is now, oh man. Can't you see it? A world without Jesus. I know that man would never leave us. I know that we left him with drugs and medicine. Things that fill our lives with everything but him. You wonder why he died. Those things we call sins. I knew I couldn't believe it. The words that I was just reading, it just makes too much sense. How could I never say it? I'm in the pit really breathing. To be honest, I was shedding a tear that a man like him, whoever shall lend his ear, that a man like him is close but never here, no there. But he's with you when you care, while you driving your car, while you sitting at a bar, while you sleeping. He'll be with you there tomorrow, while you doing your thing, while you hitting.
I think it's really nice that Lumix thought about a mass range of photographers and including these ratios. For example, those who like to shoot medium format can switch to that 1:1 ratio and shoot square format, which I'm a pretty big fan of. And I did end up using a few times when shooting. And then they also thought about those 6:7 medium format photographers that prefer that 4:3 ratio. If you already see frames in 1:1 or 4:3 ratios, you can just use it straight out of camera instead of having to crop in Lightroom for your exact style. Really nice feature to have on the outside if it's something you prefer or like to switch through. The other outside dial here is the autofocus macro, and the manual focus, which is a really nice feature to actually have really quickly swap in and out. I can't really remember how other digital cameras do it, but I'm actually a huge fan of this. I don't really do macro photography, but having this dial on the outside has actually motivated me to do a lot of macro, which is exactly just taking a lot of photos of flowers when I'm out and about, and also trying to take close-up shots of my dogs. There are some cons to this camera that I didn't go over in this video. If you really want me to, I will go through them, but this camera's been out for a while. It's just something I came across in 2024 and I've been using it as an everyday camera and I love it. I think it's safe to say that this camera is made for camera enthusiasts. It's for creatives that love photography, but also for creatives that just love cameras. Lumix created this LX100 for photographers that don't want to access the menu to change your settings to take shots. And at times the manual dials will slow you down when adjusting your settings, kind of like film does, but that's okay. I think the shooting experience overall is the major plus on this camera. To go deeper into it, when using these manual dials, I feel more involved with the capturing of that moment. Instead of just bringing up a phone, using auto, snapping the photo, feeling like anyone can bring up a phone and just shoot and get a good frame, having to think about what settings, depth of field, and what you want to include in your image. On top of that, having to set your settings manually, it simply gives that photo more meaning to the photographer. I definitely don't think I'm alone in that. When using these manual dials, you just feel way more, without being too cheesy, in tune with the camera or as one with the camera. With having unlimited options with cameras, it's really nice to be more involved with the process of taking photos. I simply just feel more present or more attached to that moment when I can remember deciding if I wanted to shoot at f2.8 or f8 and then capturing that moment and then seeing it work out in the way that I actually intended for that photo to come out. I don't know if that makes sense. And I think it'll make sense to those it makes sense to, and it'll sound funny to those who don't really get it. Either way, thank you for watching this video. It's a photography thing. It's why we capture moments. Thank you guys again for watching this video. If you liked it, go ahead and hit that thumbs up for me. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Hit that like button for me. Comment down any questions or concerns down below. And as always, guys, happy shooting. Let me use the viewfinder. Happy shooting. A lot to motherfucking edit.